What's up, guys? It's Carson and Blake from Head Outdoors. We're going to do another podcast here today. We're going to talk about the 5 turkey decoy setups you need to do this spring. So let's get into it.
Alrighty, guys. On that note that Blake just handed off to me, we're going to get right into it. So I think the number one best decoy setup for turkey hunting in the early seasons is going to be a lay-down hen over a postured upright jake. So my reasoning for that is just simply that I've seen it work too many times. I'm going to show you guys an awesome example of that working last spring in South Florida. True Osceolas coming right to the decoys. It drives them nuts. So early season birds that haven't been hunted, there's still a bunch of aggressive birds that are simply just ready to kill a jake over a lay-down hen. So needless to say, that is the number one decoy setup I think you should be running this spring to kill an early season gobbler.
All right, so for decoy setup 2, it's one of my personal favorites. It's what I've killed a lot of turkeys with. I actually took my wife out one time, first time ever turkey hunting, and we put out a single hen and a single jake. And he was on the roost, flew down, hour later came up over the ridge, and he came right in. I'm not really sure if he was trying to fight the jake or he was trying to get a little loving, but I'm not really sure. But either 2 hens or a hen and a jake, anytime in the season you can use this. It works great. It's worked great for me. That's what my go-to would be.
To add to what Blake just said, one more tip that just feeds off of the decoy setup that he just went over with you guys. Turkeys ultimately like to be around other turkeys. Just like me and Blake hanging out today. We like to be around other people, right? So the way I look at it is late season, 1 hen, 1 jake, 1 or the other, maybe 2 hens. Those can be good decoy setups for late season as well when, at least here in Pennsylvania, the season doesn't come in till the first Saturday in May. So it's a little bit late in the breeding time for turkeys around here where we live. So a lot of times turkeys will just come to the decoys, a hen, a jake, 1 of each, whatever, because they want to be around other turkeys, not necessarily even thinking about breeding. It's just of their nature. Hey, there's turkeys over there. Let's go be with them. So this does happen as well, and ultimately it'll get that gobbler in range for you. All right, guys. Tip number 3 is going to be that the best decoy sometimes is no decoy at all. So a great example of that is in the timber. And some of you guys are going to say, well, I use a decoy in the timber all the time and it works and this and that, and that's great. But from my personal experience, a lot of times no decoy in the timber is lethal as anything else. A lot of times that turkey in the timber, he's going to hear you calling. Maybe you get really aggressive with him. He's gobbling his head off, and then you go completely silent. He's going to be pinning his head through the tree, something like that, looking for that hen. He's not going to see her because you don't have any decoys out, and before you know it, he's 20 yards down your gun barrel. So a lot of times, no decoy kills just as many turkeys, if not more, especially in the timber, than if you had a decoy set out.
Another thing about that is, if you did have a hen decoy set out in thick timber, he sees a decoy from a little ways off, and he just stops in full struts.
He might hang up,
and waits for her to come to him. If he doesn't have anything, like you said, he's going to come looking for
Yeah,
her.
absolutely. Great point. Great point. So from that, we're going to get into tip number 4.
All right, tip number 4 for you. If you're ever with your girlfriend and there's another guy trying to hit up your girl, it really upsets you. And it does in the turkey world too. If you have a gobbler that's henned up and you put out a strutter decoy on a stake in the ground, it's going to upset him pretty bad, and he's going to come and try to kick that decoy into the ground. But you had a hunt that was somewhat similar to that?
Yeah, super similar, actually, pretty much exactly what you described. So in Washington last year, myself, Micah from Head Outdoors, and Caden from Southern Boys Outfitters, we headed to Washington. Blake wasn't able to join us on that trip, but first morning of the very first hunt, we had a similar situation. There must have been 12 or 15 hens that this one gobbler was tending. The hens were all roosted pretty much just right above us, and the gobbler was roosted about 100 yards away in a separate tree. So we entertained the hens. Gobbler came out looking, and when he came out to where he could kind of see the hens and right about where we were, we had a nice Mojo strutter decoy with wings and everything on it, staked right in the ground. He came in, charged it, and we sent him to the pearly gates in the turkey world. So anyways, pretty awesome hunt. Strutter decoy, staked in the ground, stationary, works like a charm.
And I won't lie, I have not had much success with this in Pennsylvania. Putting a strutter decoy out usually scares them off. I really haven't got to the science why, but do you have anything to put on that or not?
I really don't. I mean, birds in every state are different from each other, just how we're different from, someone that lives in Texas. We're going to be different people. We're going to be just different individuals, right? So that's all really I have to contribute to that. Different birds, they act different, they talk different, they're just overall different. So like we said on one of our last podcasts, what's going to work in your state might not work in another state, and what is really successful for you in another state might not work at all in your home state. So in this scenario, in Washington, worked like a charm. In Pennsylvania, it's hit or miss if it's going to work or not. But that'll lead us right into tip number 5. Alrighty, guys, last tip that we have for you, tip number 5, a mobile strutter decoy, reaping, fanning, whatever you want to call it. A strutter decoy in your hand, approaching the birds, will kill gobblers like crazy. All of the people that are anti-fan, ban the fan, shut your ears, because I'm about to praise it. I've killed many a turkey with a fan in my hand. Other people have fan in their hand beside me, what have you. I think the best thing that this can be used for is just flat out, it'll help you kill that hen-up gobbler. I mean, like we just talked about in tip number 4, if a strutter decoy staked in the ground won't help you kill that gobbler and he's still hung up just looking, you will be able to use the decoy to your advantage, put him in your hand, and go out there with him, get mobile. If you get this decoy in his face, he's going to do one of two things. He's going to run the other way as fast as he can, maybe even fly off, or he's going to run right at you. So
You got to start the fight.
Absolutely.
Like the last tip we did, it was trying to get him to start the fight, but now you want to start the fight in tip 5.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Great way to put it. You got to start the fight, and if you can anger him enough, he will run right at you. You will get a shot at that bird. So just all of our tips for you guys is based on our experience. We wouldn't tell you guys anything that we haven't applied to ourselves, whether it's worked or not worked. We want to share with you guys what we feel will help you this spring. So use these decoy tips this spring. Apply it to yourself. Get better as a hunter. Trial and error ultimately is going to help you in the long run. So definitely advise you guys give this a try. And Blake, you got anything else?
I would say for tip number 5, I would be cautious on public land using tip number 5 because there's some hunters that do not know safety, and it could end very badly. But on public land or on private land, you're safe to go. Here in Pennsylvania, you're not allowed to use it, sadly, but it's probably for the best reasoning. But it's worked good in other states that we've used it in, and yeah.
Most definitely. So do what's right, do what's legal, have fun hunting, and be safe most importantly. So turkey season right around the corner. It's coming up any day now. So good talking to you guys. We hope you've enjoyed listening to us. Tune in next week. We got a hunt and then another podcast coming out for you guys. So check us out. Stay tuned with us. Follow us on all the socials and be sure to subscribe. Thanks, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.